For this exercise you're going to need a sheet of plain paper, pencil sharpener, rubber, a ruler if you've got one. If not, something with a straight edge, maybe a little book with something like that, just to draw a little line along. Right, first thing I want to do is put my name on my sheet. So get my ruler, spread my fingers out, holding the pencil towards the blunt end, two thin guidelines about 4mm apart, and I shall write in there my pseudonym, Bill M-I-N-I-M-U-M. Not particularly, could have done better than that. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sketch two parallel lines, one here, again holding the pencil towards the blunt end away from the point, because that means there's going to be less pressure on the pencil lead, and you're going to get a fainter line. And just a nice margin from the edge of the paper. I'm going to guess a square, which is about here, and then leave a little gap, 5 or 6mm, guess another square, that's it, and another. Right, now they're not all exactly the same size, but they're in the ballpark, which is what we're on. So what I'm going to do now to line these in is take the bull by the horns and just draw one straight line across there, and just change my position, one there and one there, to draw the second one in while I'm in drawing vertical lines, one there, and then that's horizontal, this one, that's the third one done there. So we can sketch out 3 squares in a straight line in a fairly straightforward manner. Now we can use squares to help us as a guide for drawing a well proportioned circle. So I've sketched a square there, and the circle is just going to touch the top edge. The bottom edge of the circle is going to touch the bottom side of the square. And as you can see, what I've done is where the circle is touching the sides of the square, touches at a tangent so it's flat. So try to keep it as smooth as possible. So you're looking for sort of pointy bits where the circle is sticking out too far, or flat parts where it needs to be sort of brought out a little bit. But that's not bad. Right, so that's one done. If I just try lining that one in. Much harder to do a circle than it is to a shape with a straight edge, just like a square. So there's one. I'm going to do 3 again. So it's top edge, bottom edge, left hand side, right hand side. It's easy sort of scoping around that way because it just follows the way your knuckles bend in your wrist. Doing it that way, it's just more awkward, isn't it? But you're just going to sketch it around again, just watching out for the flat bits where it needs pulling out a little bit, and the corners where they need pushing in. Right, and again, let's see if we can just line that in. One straight line all around. And the more you practice, the quicker you'll get, and the more accurate you'll get. You just find it much more easy to see it. So I can see there's a sort of flat bit on there which wants to come out. The tangent there is not sort of quite. It's a little bit too low down here, should be a bit higher up there, but never mind. Right, and this one. Right, the whole point about sketching this is just to get your ideas down, get a drawing down so you can share an idea. It doesn't have to be technically perfect. So long as it communicates an idea clearly enough, that's what you want. Obviously, the more clear you can present that idea, the better, for everybody else to understand it more quickly. Right, so there we've got 3 squares, 3 circles. Then we'll try here a rectangle. I won't just do the rectangle. I'm going to see if I can do a nice smooth ellipse. So where the sides of the ellipse touch the long sides of the rectangle, I'm going to have a fairly shallow curve. Where it's touching the short sides, it's going to be a lot more curved. It's got to come around more quickly. Right, and again, it's just down to practice and judgment. And the more you practice, the quicker you get, the faster you get. So we'll just line that in there. Right, so there's my basic shapes. So these, we could use these shapes in 2-dimensional type sketches. The ellipse is very useful when you come to do 3-dimensional sketches, say an isometric. So what I would like you to do now is if you could draw those out neatly and accurately on your paper. I've done 3 squares, 3 circles, 1 ellipse. I would like you to do 6 good squares, 6 pretty good circles, and then move on to the next point, which I'm going to start in just a moment. So if you just pause the video there while you do that, and then come back to it when you're ready for the next step. Right, the next step is we are going to try producing a, it's called a 2-dimensional sketch, but it's got a sort of 3D aspect to it. And all of these particular drawings that we're going to be doing are called oblique. They're all styles of oblique. I've drawn that line in there, but it's a bit too high. I want it lower down. So I'm just going to quickly rub that one out because it's just going to make it a little bit confusing. Right, I'm going to do 3 types of oblique drawing along here. And I'm just going to draw a very simple oblique cube. So each of these is going to be a cube, and with oblique drawings we'll start off with the front view. So there is the one side of this cube, which is a square. Now we're going to project lines up at 45 degrees, so that's a 45-degree line going up there and up there. And in this particular style of oblique, we're going to see right that distance there is the same as that distance there. So in this third plane axis, we're going to go exactly the same amount up there. That looks the same. And then draw in a vertical line. So that one and that one are parallel. And this horizontal line is going to be parallel with the back of that. Right, now this type of oblique is known as cavalier, and it represents a cube. It doesn't look very much like a cube, but that's just the way it is. So I'm just going to do some guidelines again so I can put my titles on. So there's that one. Again, keep your guidelines for your printing nice and faint so they do not distract from the actual printing that you do. So this particular one is called cavalier. Cavalier oblique. Now, that angle there is 45 degrees. Okay, but I could have done it at 30 and I could have done it at 60. The scale, right, the proportion that I've gone up there has been 1:1. Right, and it's that 1:1 that makes this cavalier. So even if that had been at 30 degrees, right, if it's still, the projection is 1:1, it's still cavalier. Right, I'll just underline that. When you underline your text, right, the underline shouldn't actually touch your letter, so there's a little gap there, just of a millimetre or so. Right, that's cavalier, 1 to 1. The next type of oblique we use a slightly different scale up the side. So on that one we used 1 to 1. On this one we are going to use 3 to 4, which is 3/4. So we're going to have a line going up there at 45 degrees. But instead of going the whole hog, it's just going to go 3/4 of the way up. I think that is about the same as that, yes. And then from there, a vertical line straight up, which is part of that one. A line up here at 45 degrees, and where it hits that, that's horizontal. From there, it comes across horizontal. We'll stick one out in there, 45. Okay, and again, that could have been 45, 30 or 60, but the fact it's 3/4, that's what makes it common. Now always use block capital letters because it makes all of your communication clear, right? And the more you can cut down on any ambiguity, the better, because that's what clear communication is all about. So that one is common oblique, it's 3/4, and the third one that we're going to look at, just sketch that in. There's my square, and this time the scale going up the side here, there's my line of 45 degrees. This time the scale here is half, right? And this one is called cabinet. Oblique. And again, that could have been 45, which it is, 30 or 60, but it's the scale of 1 to 2 which makes it cabinet. So I'm just going to guess halfway. And I think that the cabinet one probably looks the most realistic of the bunch, but still not that realistic. Now the reason why cabinet or any of these oblique drawings came about at all is because it's very useful when you've got circular parts. If you've got a flat part that's got circular parts in it, so let's suppose there was just a semicircular channel, you could take your compass, draw a semicircle there, draw the semicircle on the other side, and it just makes that easy. If you were doing it in isometric, which we're going to be looking at in a second, then that side wouldn't be a square, it would be a parallelogram, and you would have to be drawing an ellipse, which is a bit more difficult. So that's 3 types of oblique drawing. All of these types of sketching are known as 2D sketches. Right, they are all 2D sketches. Why? Because it's simply because it's not really an attempt to draw it 3-dimensionally. It's just a front view with, you know, some lines projected off at the side to give it a little bit of depth, to try to you know, put some extra dimensions on. Now another drawing related to this is called planometric, and you don't see a lot of it, but you do sometimes see it in kitchen design. So what I'm going to do is, if anybody did graphics when they were at school, you might have come across this. If I just draw here, this is going to be the bench top in the kitchen. I'm going to draw it as if the bench top filled the whole of the kitchen for a moment. Then I'll draw the bench top. It's not drawn at any particular scale, just what I think I'm going to get away with, that's all. Put that in there. And so this is a bench top. And in this bench top we have got kitchen sink. And let me just draw that as a rectangle. like that. And I could have a couple of taps on there. Over here I'm going to have a hob. Just going to sketch this so I can speed up a little bit. So just circle, 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 circle. Right. Now imagine though, to convert that into a what's known as a planometric drawing, which is a type of sort of oblique projection, I can draw the walls. The walls are going to come up here like this, and conversely come down below the kitchen there, the bench top I should say. And again, just making sure I've got a parallel to that one. There's the wall going up there, and there's the end panel on this kitchen unit. Right, and then if I put the finishing touches to this, so that would be the wall there. There's a wall. Quite often you would have the sink looking out of a window, so you'd put the window in there, but that would have to be drawn at an angle, making it a little bit more difficult. And the corner of the sink would be going at 45 degrees down there like that. Right, and then the bottom of these cupboards, there and there. Then we just finish off with right to the edge of my paper. I do like to make the most out of my paper. Right, sometimes the whole thing sort of twists itself inside out and you can't see exactly which way it's going. But honestly, this is the bench top. There's the cooker. Right, and then what you might get is, again at 45 degrees, you might have an oven door coming down there like that. You might have a couple of doors underneath the sink. And then you might have, I'm not quite keeping those parallel to the sides, but never mind, some drawers running along the top like that. And like that. So hopefully you can see the layout of the kitchen in there. If I was to draw a clock on the wall, I want to draw a picture on the wall, right? So there's a picture hanging here. And there's a clock. Just to try to give it a little bit more depth to it, makes it easier to understand. But that's one of the applications where you could have this type of planometric drawing, or oblique drawing used in practice. That's probably one of the more frequent areas where you might see it used, but because of CAD coming into this sort of work more and more, it's much easier now to simply drag components in and drag units in and fill up your kitchen with lots of expensive appliances. Right, so what I'd like you to do now, have a go at drawing those three types of oblique. Do try to remember cavalier, common and cabinet, and which is which. Then just look at your own kitchen and just see if you can do a planometric drawing of your own kitchen. Okay, it's important to get those done. It's important that you have a go down the kitchen because it helps you to get your head around how to do it. And then the next session we're going to have a look at isometric drawing.